So right now we are moving right into the thick of things with Homegrown. Over the years, the Western Cape has become synonymous with success on the sports field. The province has earned the status of being one of, if not the most successful province in the country at producing both successful athletes and sporting teams. Homegrown serves as a public platform for us as the Western Cape community to celebrate our athletes, coaches, managers, administration, and organizations who have contributed towards the success of this province. This month on the sports show on Homegrown, we are joined by catalysts of transformation and the home for sports fanatics. Feel free to join in the conversation by sending us a WhatsApp on our number, which is 061-862-1065. Alternatively, share your comments on our social media pages. We'd love to hear from you. Guys, ndikotukile. When this organization zanincindisa nje kancinci umbengo umbhoxo igwijo. If you do not know what I'm talking about, where have you been? Ubumbo was founded in 2002 by Ubutha Macosi, a final year medical student at the University of Cape Town, who at the time assembled an internal rugby league team aiming to integrate black players into what is known around many universities as the Res League. Ubumbo evolved from an internal rugby league team, and it soon became a platform to showcase talented black players that could no longer be ignored by biased coaches at the time, and a home for UCT players recovering from injury to get some game time. In October of 2008, the first Ubumbo Festival was held. Teams based in rural township areas would also have this amazing opportunity to showcase their talent in more advanced facilities. Igwijo has always been synonymous with sports to many black South Africans, and this hasn't been any different with Ubumbo. Many of our listeners will be familiar with the loud cheers and Igwijo ilipuma at the DHL Cape Town Stadium behind the poles on the South Stand, Yellow Tier 1, Block 124. Tonight in studio, we are joined by Udabs we Rugby, Usis Nwabisa Nobatana. Kunjani sis?
Ndiphile njani wena bhuti?
Ndiphilile nam sis. Jonga ke ukuba ungumlandeli werugby awuna dubs siba nexhala ukhona udubs werugby abekhaya. Sikwahleli nayo nenkonde yobumbo uBhuthando Gobe. Bhuti kunjani?
Sikhona bhuti akhonto kumantu balapha kunjani ku?
Nathi siphilile bhuti. Mina benditshilo bhuti ngathi ndikotusiwe kuba sithetha ngombhoxo igwijo nombengo. You know, the first question, just to get the ball rolling, and nzawubuza wena sisi because nguwe moso phaka partnerships and fundraising.
Correct.
I'd like to ask you, you know, we've heard Ubumbo it started off as a rugby team for the internal rugby league.
Yes.
And it has grown to something way beyond that, because you guys helped out a lot during the COVID pandemic at the height of it. You know, you guys had your COVID initiatives, which really, really, really touched a lot of people, Kwalang. And the one question I'd want to put to you is, how would you describe Ubumbo today?
Wow, that's actually quite a good question. For him now, so funny enough, I actually joined the guys, or let me say with the organization, Gela Qesha. And when I started, I was a bit shy, and I was like, hey, this is a bit much. And like you said, they do a lot. And so, besides, we see them at the Wabona Stadium, and you're thinking it's all about a party and it's good. But actually, there's a lot of work being done. So when I got in, the first thing we did was, the initiatives they were doing were to help Abantu Abebelambile, Kwalanga, and we do a lot of work behind the scenes doing that. And what is nice about that is that it's self-funded. funded from the members. Umntu uya contribute lento ayifilayo ngenhliziyo yakhe, because every day we're all working, right, and we don't have time to go to and go and do what we want, or uyabawela, but it's quite hard because awuyazi noma mawuqale phi. And Ubumbo again, what one thing we say on our 20th anniversary, because we 20 years this year, is we've likhaya labahlali. Likhaya labahlali. People come to us, coming from all of the around South Africa. Uza Pekapa, uzofunda, uzophangela. You're coming from the Eastern Cape. You're finding a home. Likhaya lakho elo. Here you'll find your place of anything, from contributions ukunceda abantu, to you playing sport, to you getting advice on life, you know, because kunzima. Kunzima great. So I've also benefited great from that too. As an individual.
Njengokuba benchilo ukungumlandeli werugby awuna dubs bane xhala wena ukhona udubs werugby futhi ndizawubhekisa kuwo lo mbuzo. Ubumbo started off as the internal rugby league team, ne? And it has grown into an organization, as Usisi says, that really touches a lot of lives, and it allows people that may not have that time and that opportunity during the week or during their time frame to help out. It is that platform for them to contribute towards and help the communities around them. Ndifuna ukubuza Puti, what about the influence that Ubumbo had during the COVID pandemic, because that was a very, very, very tough period for a lot of people, and we saw you guys doing some amazing work even with Ivusa Rugby.
Yeah. I think it was actually better suited to this question. So I'll give it a stab and then
we'll take over.
But I think as uqale ngokutsho, Ubumbo started out as a team. From in need yayibonwa ngabo ngoko ngelo xesha. I was also at UCT at the time, but mandithi mna ndandiyi-beneficiary because bona bedlala kwi-internal league nona ndidlala kwi-UCT and other leagues above that. It's only really when I got injured where I actually realized, but hang on, kwalo mntu undicoachayo apha kule nto kuthiwa i-provincial team okanye apha e-UCT iyaphela inyanga abantu funeka undifowunele. And it was the guys, the community that encouraged me to keep going. And I think from that, for me, that has been a theme of Ubumbo. And obviously, as you said, when we started working, classifika mhlambi ku workplace nezinto ezinjalo indawo zempangelo, safumanisa into yokuba nayi man, ezingxaki besizibona okanye ezi challenges besizibona zikhona nalapha kule ndawo. And that's where we started saying, hang on, this is more than just a rugby team. And only later on we came up with the language, right, of Ikaya. But we realized, but if we're going to make it through what is known as white corporate in Cape Town, we can't do it in competition with each other. We need to do it together. And so that thesis or that theme of working together and really just making sure that we're there for each other really carried through. And so when we hit COVID, to answer your question more directly, it was a natural thing. And as Unabisa said, it wasn't about us trying to go elsewhere for the resources. We have the resources within the community. It was really a matter of organizing to say, you know, who of us can be of help, and so that's where we came across a number of opportunities, and those relationships were old. For example, Uvusa, you know, we were involved in coaching Uvusa in 2003. So again, it wasn't foreign. It wasn't helping abanye abantu. We've always been one family. But I guess, you know, it's only kunzima in difficult times that people really rise up and support their own. And so for us, it was really a matter of changing the way that you know, these organizations view themselves, but they don't have to go elsewhere and say what's this.
Dubs, ubhuti ugqibile lambuzo. Ndiza kuphomnye wena Dubs.
No worries.
You alluded that you recently joined in 2012?
No, in 2020. 2019, yes.
2019,
yes,
okay.
2019, the first lockdown.
Dubs, you know, this is something now even from when I observed it, I saw a group of guys. And then there's this flower among the guys. Dubs, what drew your attention to Ubumbo wena as a female?
Oh, okay. That's a very good question. I'm going to take it a little step back. So, growing up, I have a dad who was playing for team Gogutwa, Black Lions, Monte, and my dad played, and then he ended up being in administration. Utata, unfortunately, he in a group of mates of his, he was the only one, Nindo Mazan. And all his friends around him had boys. So, I would end up growing up with all of those boys being my brothers and cousins, and actually one of my big brothers is actually part of Ubumbo, actually Budleletu. And so for me, seeing Ubumbo and the guys calling me in are people that I've actually known through those friends and those guy friends, and going there. So one of them, knowing that I love sport, I'm a fanatic of sport. Shout out Piwe. He called me and he said to me, I was watching the Cape Town 10s, and he says to me, Nwabisa, this is you. Come join us. And I'm like, no, I'm so busy. I got stuff. He's like, no, please join us. And fast forward, I'm here. I mean, I love it. And it, as much as it's got guys, there are women there. Mrs. Gobe, actually, Mrs. Mazandi is there. She might not be there physically in presence, but she's there by spirit. If I need something around, Ubumbo, she's there to help anything, So we've got support bases. It's so funny. Actually, there's 3 generationals of Nwabisa. There was a Nwabisa who started the organization, whose sister Mrs. Gobe. Then the second Nwabisa was Nwabisa Tom, who her brother was there and she helped. And then I'm the 3rd generation Nwabisa to come in. But it's so funny, Nwabisa, the last Nwabisa and I are the same age, but it is how it is. But that's how it is. It's like you said, it's a family, and that's where it is. But it's amazing.
Ngathi salijikela gama tati silijike kuthiwe kukulonwabisa. So if you haven't been able to put together the maths, when I said Ubumbo was founded in 2002, over this past weekend Ubumbo celebrated their 20th anniversary, and what a long itinerary you had leading up to the game at the stadium. I was kicking myself for not actually getting up and going, but before we get into the celebrations of the 20th anniversary in itself, what are some of the memories that really stick out with your involvement with Ubumbo?
Okay, actually there's quite a few. But I'll just to help Unabis, she's right. There've been a number of females, ladies who have really led Ubumbo, not just been part of it. Osbucha Mafanya, Ozandile have been mentioned. Unabisa Tom was actually the CEO of Ubumbo. She was the first person who said, "You're going to lead the organization." Or Mahlati, there've been a few of them. So for me, that has been one of the things that stood out, right? That only in the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years, we've really been conscious about it. And so we've actually gone out where we felt that we've been thin. But for me, it's really one of the big, things that have stood out, that even 20 years later, really, I think only in the last 3 years we've been proactive with netball. We've starting to push and be conscious about it, and for me that's the reason that stands out is that it's a learning. Although we have already framed the problem, how it actually is applied is something that we're learning, and something that can change and evolve over time. In terms of events or things that have happened, I mean, one of the first things that we did as Ubumbo early on, so it started, I think, in 2002, and then I really got involved in the leadership in 2004. And one of the things that we really wanted to do was to partner with the UCT. But we also wanted to not just be stuck at Kapa. And so we said, listen, we're going to do two things. We want to talk to UCT and play against one of the top teams that come from time to time. And we also really want to go to a tournament. Up until then, we hadn't done that. And it was a huge, those 18 months, we learned quite a lot. We spoke to UCT. The guys were really, really excited. They happened to have a team called Cambridge University from, internationally, the UK. They were coming down, for a tour actually. And they needed a midweek team to play against. And in our conversations with UCT, we thought, okay, everything is great. We're going to represent UCT now, and this is now the platform that we need. And the guys were really, really supportive. But they thrashed. I can't remember who they played the week before. Then UCT, that's how better is. They recruited a guy called Dr. Cecil Moss, who's actually a very famous guy. If you don't know him, look him up. Springbok coach and Western Province coach. Really, really big, and I actually happened to know him as well. They recruited a few of the guys who were just, on the periphery, and they wanted to strengthen our team. And one of the learnings there is that, they said, okay, fine, you guys, they'll only give one of these, players, they'll only give one of these in reinforcement players, first half, they'll only give us one or two of them. And we were ahead. Ubumbo was ahead. And they thought, hang on, what's going on here? And then 10 minutes into the second half, we're still holding them off. And then really on the last, because our band had been told they're going to play, they came on and we happened to win the game. But for me, it was really an eye opener for UCT, because up until then we were just this internal league team, and at that point they started saying, "Hang on, by the talent club, and we're just not selecting them." And for me, that was an internal victory that we won. We then set off. Okay, fine, let's go to the Eastern Cape, and we hired a bus. I think it was a 60-seater. We thought, let's take our own supporters. We left 2 days before. I won't explain why. So I quite like the bus. And then a bus in a sort of, I happened to also be the captain. I sat everyone down and I said, listen, guys, my man, environment suka kuyo. Noba nifunde model C, noba nifunde AP, you're just too black to be white. Apho siyakhona, which is Mthatha kulu Mchizana Heritage Tournament, you're going to be too white to be black. And true as Bob, when you got there, as everyone else, the accommodation was not ready. So Safaka classroom, the chairs hadn't been removed to you going to sleep here. And for me, a lot of guys that were there with us that weekend, immediately there was not much conversation, but within a month or so, the feedback I got, because the guys are starting to process what they've just been through. You had guys like Ukaunda and Tunja on that tournament, the late Kaunda, who had played provincial rugby, had played at a very high level, had played South African rugby, but it was the first time his eyes were opened to abantu abamnyama who currently play rugby in what they have to go through, right? And so I think at that point, a lot of guys decided that, hang on, instead of focusing on trying to, go to a new lens and go to whatever, what else can we do for grassroots rugby? Because the talent is clearly there. You're playing against these guys, and I think we lost one game. We thought we were going to run over everyone. And then you realize, hang on, but you're actually not as good as you have been. So for me, those are the two, key events that I was certainly part of. And as you mentioned earlier, there was the tournaments that we've run. The second tournament that we ran, we invited the University of Western Cape and the University of Forte. And thankfully, we had the connections. Forte actually paid to come down. We didn't have the money. But the University of Western Cape came through. And we had, I think, a 4 or 6 team tournament. I can't remember exactly what it was. And the final, we sort of orchestrated so that we can sit in the Forte. And we happened to beat them 8-5. But the point is, within 2 years after that, they were playing Varsity Cup. And we know what they did last year. And so, my only point here around this is that we underestimated talent at Koyo. We underestimate the strength of relationships. We underestimate the role we can play in uplifting others. And so for me, the journey has many highlights. I just thought I'll share those ones with you.
But nazo zaki memories.
Yeah, of course. My memory was walking in, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm like, the name Dubs actually comes from, if people don't know, I've got a little bit of a bully tendency because I'm a Leo. And I came in and I was like, I'm going to tell these guys I am a girl who knows her rugby, who knows her sport. They're going to know something about me and I'm going to speak louder. And I was humbled when I came in. They humbled me and they sat me down quickly, fast. I think, and I learned a lot. In amongst those guys, there's people who are professionals as well. You learn a lot from them. You get to understand, believe it or not, in meetings is it, you would think because you see us at the stadiums, they are all fun. No, they are serious. You do presentations, you do, proper, like we run like a proper business. We tell our members who join Ubumbo, what is going with your money. We actually, we tell them where's your money going. We give proper reports. And I think that was what put me in awe. But this is a real thing, a real working engine, and it's black excellence. I mean, that's all I can say. And it feels good to be part of such a great thing. So yeah.
If you've literally just tuned in, the time right now is almost 9:10, and we are currently in Homegrown, where we are having a conversation with an organization which refers to themselves, and after this conversation, we all can agree that they are the catalysts of transformation and the home for sports fanatics. Right now, we are still talking to Ubumbo executives, Uputando Kobe no Sis Nwabisa Nobathan. As we kick towards the summary of this segment, Dubs, manphinde ndibuye lapha kuwe njengo fundraiser no partnerships. Perhaps kukho umntu Dubs omameleyo ekudala esiva ngobumbo, and they just need that little bit more information about Ubumbo. In a nutshell, Wena, what would you say your activities, what are the activities that you offer to your members?
Wow. So we have a lot of things that go on. As much as we've got the sports pillar, which is run by Umilani Mfingwa. He does the sports where he runs the rugby and the netball. Then we have the development side, which is shout out to Owana. She handles that, which is the reach to duels with Uvusa, all the things that needs to do with being in the community, CSI type of things. Then we have the guy who does our experience which is Ulifa. Shout out to him, Ulifa Ghana. He's the main guy who runs around, who makes sure that our events are smooth and stuff. Then we've got our guy in marketing, which is he doubles up with our photographer, our lovely photographer here from Elalini, Tools, and as well as Usia, who works with that. And they together collaborate on what needs to you see on our social medias, those beautiful videos and stuff. Myself, if you want to be a contribution to all of what we do, I mean, we do the development side, we do the netball, we do the experiences, but we also do things that are intentional. We give opportunities to small businesses. I mean, if you've seen us around Kwalanga, you have seen us, Amanda know us, the taxi rank, by us like crowd, then we've now have a home base now called Indaweni. We support small businesses, and that is our intention. Shout out, you see the gear that we wear. Shout out, it's owned by a black woman who owns her business, Utumi. She runs it, and we Pala Box, and she's we are her suppliers, or our supplier. So we're very intentional like that. That's the type of thing. So in any of the joining the network, you're getting you get a exposure. 1, 2, you contribute to us for us to go for the greater good. I think of ourselves as Peter Pan. We don't really steal from the rich, but we give back. Yeah. So whatever you bring, you join our membership. There's you can hit us up on Ubumbo Club at gmail.com and email me. And then if you want to be part of giving out contributions or anything, or hit us up on our Instagram. I think the Instagram is more instant. We'll be able to give you an answer there. But yeah, that's basically where you would find us and join us, because there's a lot of stuff. We started last year with the netball. We had a pad drive on Women's Day, and we were playing netball. And everybody came through to come and play netball and brought pads, and we raised a lot of pads. Guys were playing netball. Guys were interested. Everybody, guys came to.
Okay. Yes, I was there. I was the official.
He was the officiator. But like, it got people going. I didn't see so many people so excited to play netball for the males that wanted to try something different. So this year I want to jazz it up and maybe have the women play rugby and the guys playing, having netball. It and a netball and having touch maybe for girls who will do touch, and we'll have the rugby as for. But we want to be intentional again. We've got a beautiful home base in Ngulanga. Aman Bakalanga. I feel that we want to be part and support them. There are many of them of other places, but the one that is so close to us that is at our back door is Ulanga, and so we find it easier to integrate. We will move around. I mean, obviously when we are called, but it's where we at now and help and contribute.
Dubs, Pagla netball uzunibhale nandiyisenda Dubs.
Yeah. Yakwazi ubaleka.
Yazi bakuyatsitshwa kukho la way kuthiwa lihashi kuthiwa into kanela
it's called football.
Yazi ngala language yasekhaya kuthiwa lihashi alifuni. Kuthi we heard Dubs allude to the planning that goes behind events Ubumbo, the planning that goes behind the whole organization and how serious that is. To sum everything up, what can we expect from Ubumbo? What are the goals and the plans for Ubumbo going forward?
I think it's important to just maybe, and it's firstly, it's a good question, especially when reflecting on 20 years. If I reflect on the 20 years that we've had, the evolution has really just been sticking to what is needed and required by our members. So today you see what is now known as the Equijo squad, what we now is known as Upper. We go to the stadium. We're planning on going to a few Springbok games, Lonyaga as well. But really, that started out as an idea. In 2011, when something called Internal League started, Varsity Cup, we had an idea. We wanted to start something called Ubumbo Corner at UCT. We were effectively told off. We were told to go sit up opposite stands. But within I think 2 seasons, UCT was actually giving us tickets to invite us and to bring us into the stadium. And it took a while. It was a cultural education. We just did it at UCT because we wanted to do it, right? As you started off earlier, the culture yet. We didn't plan that. We didn't say in 10 years time we're going to be doing this, right? But organically it happened. And then Ulifa, Unwabis has talked about, said to us, listen man, Usiakolis is playing his 100th game and Uskara's playing his 50th game. Let's speak to them and they must organize tickets. And I think we organized 300 tickets. I think it was 2015 or 2016, I can't remember. And we went to the stadium. The tickets were gone within 3 days, I think. Just really to support abantu bethu. And we really had no idea the impact we would have on the careers of the rugby players. Now supporting our athletes is an integral part of what we do. Because on Abane home bases, especially Apatina, we need to do more of that. Of course, there's still a long way to go. We still haven't seen the medal. I always tease him when I see him. And I'm sure he's taken it to Ifama and this will be by Kabana, Stellenbosch. But the point is, to answer your question more directly, I don't know where the next 10 years will be. And for me, that's the exciting part. We try to be smart. We try to say, if Visioneers are going to ABCD, we have plans. We have a lot of plans, but the reality is that the person that you bring into the organization now will have a different need to the person that was there 10 years ago. We started, for example, something called, Ubumbo Legends forums where we would bring in experts to come talk about their careers. This year we have someone lined up in the financial services industry who's going to come talk to youngsters. That will continue. But those youngsters might say in 5 years' time, hang on, we're going to take it up this notch. We don't want to speak to the CEO of Mutual. We want to listen to Omnia. So More of the same over the next 10 years, I think. Listen to Abantu Bakho, listen to what the need is. This journey started more than 100 years ago. The journey to take Umdomnyama to a better place, right? And creating opportunities and creating the walls that have been there. And how we fight that fight is going to be different to how our fathers fought that fight. It's going to be different to how our grandfathers and our children will fight it differently, but it is still the same fight.
And sorry, just to touch on that, one of the things that is pivotal for me when I saw was when like how everybody comes together when you're going through something. When the great Kaunda passed away, I watched these guys pour their hearts out, and it shows that thing of Ubuntu, ukukunga, and keep you together. So it was amazing to watch.
Budi, Dabs, thank you very much. Budi, you touched on a point that I keep on reiterating a lot of times about supporting the athletes, because the athletes come from communities, and a lot of the time you'll find that the black communities do not necessarily give sufficient support to our black athletes. We throw them into the sea and expect them to swim without us supporting them. Whereas we look at our other counterparts, it's a totally different ball game. And I'd love to see more of that happening. And, thank you to both of you for sharing the story of Ubumbo with us. And if you'd like to reach out and get in touch with them, check out their Instagram page where you search Ubumbo. It's UBUMBO, or you can check out their website by typing in www.ubumbo.org.za. Alternatively, Dubs, I noticed you've got a different email address than the one I've got written down. It's ubumboclub@gmail.com. All right. Thank you very much to the both of you for joining me, and I really look forward to hearing a lot more about Ubumbo.